The Scars of Eden, Chapter 15, Lifting the Lid. San Diego, California, 2020. The last time I was in San Diego, I was 15 years old and was here with my family to visit SeaWorld. Today, I am on a mission. I have been overzealous in my efforts not to miss my 2 o'clock appointment, as I have arrived a full 40 minutes ahead of schedule, and now find myself nervously flickering through decor magazines as the time ticks slowly by. I am feeling pensive. I can't stop thinking about that little boy John and his strange encounter on Mount Shasta. As I reflect on it, it strikes me that John's otherworldly encounter bears some uncanny similarities to the experience of my friend Juan Perez in Argentina all those years ago. 1. Juan described the craft on his grandfather's farm as a hut and spoke of the beings inside as appearing robotic. John spoke of a cavern with robotic inhabitants. 2. Like John's cavern, Juan's hut bizarrely featured a ladder, hardly the technology one would associate with an advanced species or a close encounter. 3. John encountered an entity which projected the appearance of his grandmother. Juan encountered an entity who he interpreted to be his late grandfather. 4. John's grandmother experienced a mysterious phenomenon of her own. Juan's mother also experienced a close encounter. 5. John's grandma suffered a strange puncture wound and inflamed red skin. Juan's encounter left him with a strange red mark, like an inoculation mark on his upper arm. And 6. Both Juan and John were children at the time of their respective encounters. The details intrigue me. How much of this was objective? How reliable were their recollections? Certainly, children can have vivid imaginations, but they can also relay what they see with guileless innocence and directness. And the aftermath? Juan still suffered PTSD 40 years after the event. And in a conversation 4 years after his encounter on Mount Shasta, John's grandma reveals that he is still having nightmares. I don't think a child's made-up story would do that. John's description of what the fake grandma had to say about his conception as a star child expresses in the language of a child the themes of the Mamiwata traditions of Africa and the Caribbean, the Dawatas and the Dili Nganato of the Philippines, and the Fae traditions of the Celtic Europe, a worldwide narrative of abduction and hybridization by non-human neighbors. If our worldview has no place for such neighbors, then any such claim is an insult to our intelligence. Speaking personally, I don't think John is insulting my intelligence. Ultimately, worldview must adjust in the light of information. My own worldview has certainly had to adapt in the light of all that has surfaced through the last few years. I can only wonder what further shifts might result from this afternoon's session. I have never done anything like this before. What new revelations might await me? What new implications will I have to process? 20 minutes to go. The first seismic shift in my worldview with regard to ETs and abduction reports like those of Juan and John came in 2009. When a worldview-defining agency, the Vatican, laid down its public challenge for people to get ready to welcome the physical presence of extraterrestrial relatives. This was my first red pill. Next came my linguistic discoveries in the Book of Genesis and in our world mythologies, which affirm ET interventions in our history. My second red pill. Discovering Plato's world-changing claims and the early church fathers' endorsement of Plato. That was my third red pill. Take 3 red pills, and there's no way you're going back into the matrix. As I listened to the supporting voices of psychologists, government officials, and other witnesses from the scientific community, each successive witness provided another nail in the coffin for my old paradigm. The paradigm that said, we are the pinnacle of evolution, the crown of creation, unique and alone in the universe. End of story. Sharing the process with you has brought home to me how very fortunate I am to have been helped in my understanding by so many witnesses of another world. I think of Alan Stivelman and Juan Perez and the courage of their stunning filmmaking. Jane Pooley and her courageous outing on national television. Luis Elizondo, Eric Davis, Chris Mellon, Elaine Juliet, and voices for the Pentagon who have gone on the record regarding official engagement with UFO phenomena. Mauro Biglino and Maxim Makukov for their courageous commitment to detail, cost whatever it might. Experiencers like Patricia from Massachusetts and Dame from New South Wales for entrusting me with their stories. Researchers like Richard Dolan, Eric Von Daniken, and my collaborator in the Fifth Kind TV, Anthony Barrett, who have been bold enough to nail their colors to the mast on the most controversial of topics. And clinical psychologists like Barbara Lamb and the late John Mack, who have honored the courage of their clients with a bravery of their own. Their therapeutic work has helped to expose a phenomenon we should all be concerned about. Their amazing work has extended a helping hand to many people isolated by experiences of close encounters and has helped their scars to heal. 15 minutes to go. I look down at the marks on my right ankle left by the portable traction device I had to wear after my accident and smile at the memory of it. I feel grateful for the ultimate Frisbee injury, which laid me up and locked me down for weeks on end to begin the research that led me to escaping from Eden. For me, it was a happy synchronicity. The discoveries that followed opened up a brave new world for me, and the subsequent journey to the scars of Eden has widened my perspective still further concerning our origins as a species and our potential as human beings. Today, I have a renewed appetite as I look to the future and a more open heart to listen to others around me whose experiences have led them onto unfamiliar ground. 10 minutes to go. My phone buzzes. It's Jason from Mount Washington confirming a coaching appointment. He is an Army veteran, an engineer, and a scholar of world history. He has a story to tell about his service overseas and something unusual that happened in his childhood. Browsing on YouTube, Jason has stumbled across the Paul Wallace channel, which has led him in turn to the Fifth Kind TV and to one of our biggest documentaries, one about the Sumerian cuneiforms and the fascinating secrets they hold. Evidently, Jason was blown away by it. He has written me an amazing and lengthy message and is eager to share his experiences with me. 5 minutes to go. I set my phone to silent and tap out an initial reply. Thanks, Jason, for your message. I would love to talk with you. ... As people make contact with me from week to week, I am becoming more and more aware of the proportion of people who silently carry stories like Jason's. As the world moves further into the 21st century, people are remembering. Still, more people are taking an interest in what has been remembered, both by our contemporaries and by our distant ancestors. I am continually amazed who I meet on this ET territory. Some get here through a journey in ministry, others through journeys in archaeology, paleobiology, mythology, literature, anthropology, psychology, and neurology. In fact, there would seem to be any number of red pills available to those who are ready to acknowledge the anomalies and follow the white rabbits where they lead. Today, I am sensing a rising tide of discovery and awakening. I am excited to see this rise of popular interest because as we compare notes along the way, we give one another courage for the journey. I long to see a recovery of lost memories surrounding our origins as a species, because it is as we remember who we are and where we came from that we awaken to our true potential. The time has surely come to break the taboos, end the official embargoes, and allow the whole of humanity onto the same page. I feel there is a momentum building. Half a century ago, only a few short hours before the Saturn V rockets of Apollo 14 launched Ed Mitchell into space on his journey to the moon and back, he and his crewmates, Alan Shepard and Stuart Roosa, received a private briefing from the revered astrophysicist Carl Sagan. A mutual friend tells me that, among other things, the briefings included the secret code word for the 3 astronauts to use on this mission, in the event that they might find themselves accompanied by extraterrestrials on their way to or from the moon, or while on the lunar surface. 15 years into our space missions, and on the third successful lunar mission, it was clearly understood that a code word would be needed, and Carl Sagan supplied it. In this way, NASA could be fully apprised of an ET situation without the public ever needing to know anything. 3 decades later, Ed Mitchell was emphatic. His heart's longing was for disclosure. It is now time, he said, to put away this embargo of truth about the alien presence, now that we are spacefarers on our planet, because we're really universal beings. We're at a point where we have to become part of a neighborhood of inhabited planets, something which we have not acknowledged exists until this point. It is my hope that we can open this whole issue up. I feel the same. In the last few years, we have all seen our world change, and perhaps we have a better idea than ever before how disempowering it can be to be left in the dark with regard to vital information. The pattern of one truth for the privileged and one for the rest of us is not one I find acceptable. This is what the movement for official disclosure is all about. Yet, with or without official disclosures concerning ET contact, past or present, if regular people like you and me can overcome our embarrassment, break the taboo, and talk about this topic among ourselves, then our own networks of friends and family can become the agency of an unstoppable tidal wave of grassroots disclosure. The story is already among us. It is in our past and in our present. As I look ahead, I am eager for the day when the human race can enjoy the benefits of all that our ancestors have memorialized and embedded so carefully in our world of mythologies. And I want to know the truth for myself. Me too, Paul. Today, as I sit in the comfort of Barbara Lamb's waiting room, I am feeling ready to delve more deeply into the recesses of my own mind and recover whatever lost memories may lie there, waiting to resurface. And if those memories give me even more to think about and upend conclusions that I thought were in the bag, then so be it. The room is comfortable and bright with a nice flow of fresh air to keep me awake in the warm afternoon sun. What memories bring people into this room? What stories surface here? What scars are revealed? And what journeys of healing follow? I tuck my phone back into my jacket pocket and take a deep breath. That's the sound of the door from down the hallway. As it opens, I can hear Barbara's voice and the warm muffle of friendly conversation. I glance up at the clock. It's 1 minute to go. I breathe again, a little deeper. All right, I'm ready to go in. And that concludes the reading of The Scars of Eden by Paul Wallace. Thank you for joining me in this adventure, and peace and blessings to you all.